So this thing has been running, I don't know, maybe an hour or so. Thinking it's printing that out. What I have here is my motor's running. Still no table. But so far, everything's worked good, no errors. It's looking like it's running like it should. Here's some old metal that I have to cut up. I want this 3x3 tubing here. For my CNC table. I got another piece I cut up last year, and so I'll be using that tubing. I'm not going to use these 4x4s, but I'm going to cut them up since I have them in here, so that way they stack a little easier. And I'm not sure if these angle iron are going to be worth anything. If they are, I will use those too, but I think they might be a little too far gone to try to use those. The tubing's still all right. A little surface rust, but should clean up. I don't necessarily need perfect surfaces on that. So we'll get this cut up, bring the other piece in, and then I'll have another piece, another scrap piece. We'll start making the table for the CNC. That way we can start getting some things mounted and actually get something cut out. So this is as far as I'm going to cut these up. I'm not going to cut those legs off. This is good enough. It just makes it, I can make things smaller. I'm not sure if I'll use these for anything. They're not too bad, but they're not the greatest either. I think I'll probably pass on it for this. Good for making fence posts, your corner posts, or where it's really rocky and you can't go on the ground. You make a nice base that you can stack rocks on. Something like this is good for that, because I don't know if you want to use it for much else. I got a mess to clean up here. Get this out. All I need is this one. So let's get it cleaned up. Now we're going to pull my saw out and start cutting these to length. Okay, let's see how square this really is. This way. I mean, it's not perfect, you got a little gap, but that's really good, I think, for this old saw. Oh yeah, you're like maybe it's less than a 32nd. I would say maybe even a 64th even. It's pretty good. I'm happy with it. Good enough for me. Well, this one's done here. I'm having issues with my switch. See that? It kicks out the stupid GFCI breaker. So I have to always reset the GFCI. Oh, those are annoying, I tell you what. But they made us put them in our shop. That's ridiculous. Okay. So here's one cut toy. I really don't want to use this heavy tubing. I think it's like a maybe at least 3/16, if not a quarter. It's hard to see how this is so nasty here. And it looks like it's a 1/4 inch thick. So they are heavy, and I don't really want to use them, but they're free. If I ever make another plasma table, I will not build them out of such heavy tubing. I think this could easily be an 1/8 inch thick, 3-inch tubing, and it would be plenty strong. Plus any drilling I have to do through these, it's a 1/4 inch piece of steel, and everything's just going to take longer and harder to do. But I guess it'll be very stable once it's in place with all the mass it's going to have. But it's not ideal, but it'll work. So let's get this one where we want it. Okay, so what I think I want to do, I'm going to make these legs really short. It's going to sit real low to the ground at first. I'm going to get some casters that'll bring it up higher later on. That way it's easy to move around the shop, but for right now it's going to be short until I get them ordered and put them on. So we will go ahead and get these cut down to 18 inches. So that'll be 21 inches to the top, and then once we add the wheels, it'll be like 29 inches. So that should be a decent height. I don't want it too high because you're going to have to lift all your sheets onto it. And if you're doing heavy pieces, you don't want to have to lift it very high. This right here is perfect. You lift it up to here, you can get heavy pieces on there if you got a big chunk you want to cut off, rather than having to lift it higher up. It doesn't need to be that high at all. I mean, it can even be lower. I am going to do a water pan on it, so eventually, so I want it high enough that it can drain the water out. So that's kind of the plan there. So let's go ahead and get these cut up. all cleaned up, ready to weld. I do need to cut 2 more pieces, but I don't have long enough pieces, so what I'm going to probably do is just cut them to length, weld them together, so that way they're long enough. It's not important really where those are going to be. Those are going to be kind of where the 2 legs come down. It's just going to be a cross member there, just to give it a little extra strength. Probably doesn't even need it, and maybe I'll pass up on it. We'll build it, and then we'll see. I might just do a little gusset where this is going to be welded. I might just go ahead and do a little gusset right here, and then same thing on the other way, do a little gusset. But that's a lot of work cleaning those up. So these were some that I pulled off of this steel from the last project. I don't know if you guys watched the one of me doing the trailer hitch for my swinger, but that's where this stuff came from. It was long enough, so that's what I'm going to be using. So they will sit on top of that. Oh, sorry. This way. They'll sit this way, and so the slats will come sitting here on this ledge. And I'm probably going to be doing 2.5-inch slats. I'm not positive, but got to give us a little bit of room up top here. And I think, oh sorry, these are going to be on the bottom. The nicer ones are going to be on top there. Same thing, 3 inches. You're going to have 2.5-inch slats in here. So these will be on the bottom, below where the slats are, and it'll be good if I need them. If I don't need them, I won't use them. But they're ready to go, cleaned up. But I think I'm going to call it a day, and we'll see you guys tomorrow. Okay, it's the next day. We're getting ready to weld this up. Got my square here, got some clamps over here. We're going to clamp this up together, and we'll start tacking everything in place. We are not going to weld everything solid yet. This is pretty thick. You might get by with it, but I'm going to just tack everything up real good, and then I'll come back around and re-weld everything. Try not to warp anything too bad. I'll take my time. It's not as critical on this because I'm going to have linear rails that attach to this, so even if this is not straight, I'll mark my holes straight and mount my linear rods straight, so it won't be an issue. If there's much warpage, you just don't want a lot. And what you don't want is where you're going to weld. You don't want there to be any bows you don't want there to be any bows where you're going to mount that. So I mean, if you're mounting your rail this way, and if I have a bow this way and you're on the side, you're fine. But if your bow is forward or back, then there'll be a bow in your rail. And you can deal with that. You can put shims behind it to make sure you're straight. You don't want to have any anywhere where your rails are bending at all, because you'll start binding on your linear rails. So make sure that straight is important, but we can deal with that with shims as long as it's not too bad. So what we're going to do is we're going to get this clamped here. And what I have is a couple of clamps here. Let's go. What? Okay, I got this tacked in place. The legs are welded on pretty good, but these angle iron pieces are just tacked in there. Before we weld them, one of the things we need to do is we need to check for squareness. So to do that, you measure from corner to corner. So I have about 89 1/4. Now we check this other side. Yeah, it's about 89 1/4. So we're pretty square right there. What we're going to also do is make sure these are the same distance apart. Just like I was saying about if they're spread open, as your gantry goes down, it's going to try to open it up and kind of bind. So you want to make sure these are both parallel to each other so it doesn't do that. So we'll just get a quick measurement here. So we're 1/16 over 60 right there. About a 1/16 over 60. And we're about probably closer to 32nd there. So I think that's good enough. I don't think that'll hurt us enough. Yeah, this one's a little under a 1/16 here too, so it's pretty good. The middle's a little bit bowed out, but not bad at all. I think we're totally within spec there to be able to get that gantry to run smoothly down there. So we'll go back to a time lapse here, get this all welded up, and we'll be done with this bottom frame. I don't even know if I'll kick some legs under here or not. I think I'll just put some gussets in. But I don't know. Like I said, I want to put wheels on later, so maybe I will. We'll see how that goes. But for sure, I'm not going to put any angle iron there. I'll just gusset these legs just to make sure they don't ever catch something and bend in on me. We'll gusset them all four corners there. We'll keep that from happening. And then if I put a one cross member here, I already got them cut, so I might just go ahead and put them in. But that'll keep that from those ever buckling in this way. And I'll have a nice strong table. Extra heavy, way too heavy. Let's go ahead and get the welding done. Okay, as you guys can see, it is kind of short. It's only about up to my knee. But once I put those 8-inch or 6-inch wheels, it'll actually raise it up 8 inches. So it'll be at just out of perfect height there. This is what I'm going to make the gantry out of. A little heavy, but I think it'll be all right. And I think it's plenty of strong as far as here. I think that's probably a little bit overkill on heaviness, but it'll do all right, I think. And so I'll get those made up, but before I get them in place, before I weld these on, I want to drill all my holes that I need to, so that way I can do it on the mill and make some really nice holes on it. Yeah, and I might go ahead and drill all the holes in here for my linear rails also at the same time before I weld everything together. I kind of wish I would have done the linear rails here, but one of the things I drilled it on the mill, but by doing that I wasn't sure how perfect it was going to be, so I thought, you know what, I better weld everything together and then go ahead and drill the holes. I am not going to use every hole. I am going to skip every 3 holes and put a bolt in. Now, if it needs to, then I'll go to that third middle hole and put another bolt in, but I do not think I am going to need that many bolts to hold those linear rails on. I think that is overkill for what I have anyway. So, just gotta get these ends made up and welded together, and then start attaching all the linear rails and start bolting everything up. Getting close, that's for sure.